Welcome to Life in Sirens, Behind and on the Scene, a podcast by first responders. We're your hosts, Sophie,
Jamie,
and Aubrey.
The content provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policies or positions of any medical institutions, emergency medical services, or healthcare organizations. Patient privacy is a top priority, and all discussions involving real-world emergency situations are de-identified and altered to ensure confidentiality. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional or your local EMS protocols before making any decisions regarding patient care or medical practices. Listener discretion is advised, as some topics may include discussions of real-world emergency situations.
Welcome to another episode of Life in Sirens. Just like last week, Aubrey and Jamie unfortunately will not be here with us because they have a lot going on, and Jamie's moving into a new house, and there's just a lot of chaos going on this summer. But lucky for you guys, my partner, my 911 partner, is here. Ashley.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. Honestly, I haven't been hiding her. She's just very busy too. So, like I said last time, it's very hard to get a bunch of people in EMS all in the same room at one time. But I digress, and we'll get into today's episode. So, today's episode is Vitals and Vibes, why soft skills aren't optional in EMS. And I think that that's something we miss out a lot on education.
As I've said, my name is Ashley. I've been her partner and her partner in crime for roughly 3 years. Give and take, not continuously, but 3 years. And she has asked me to be a part of the podcast, and I'm super excited, and
I'm so excited!
This could be so much fun!
Alright, so today's episode is for anyone who's ever had a perfect IV score and a terrible attitude. We're talking soft skills in EMS, because saving a life means nothing if you treat people like crap.
Agreed. And we're not just talking about patients. I mean, this comes down to how we talk to our partners, our dispatchers, our nurses, and even our own leadership.
Yeah, so we know all of us in EMS can have big old attitudes. I think there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're all a little type A.
Yeah, agreed. It's kind of bad.
We like things how we like things. So what are soft skills anyway? Soft skills are the non-clinical things that make you someone people actually want to work with. We all know, like, the first thing you're going to ask when you pick up a shift or you're about to pick up a shift is...
Who are you working with?
Yes, who is it with? Because that matters. Who you work with matters, and if they're grouchy and mean to all your patients and to you, then that's a no-go for me.
It's a very long 24 hours.
So, soft skills are communication, empathy, teamwork, listening, conflict resolution, and emotional intelligence. There's a lot more we could throw in there, but those are just some things that we'll be talking about today.
Yeah, I guess it says it's the difference between I'm the medic, so do what I say, which you've never, ever done that to me.
I hope not. I wouldn't.
And,
cry.
hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? Like, let's work through this. What are your ideas? What do you think we can do with this? And
I regularly look at Ashley and go, what do you think is going on?
So?
Everyone is valuable.
Agreed.
License does not matter because you can be a terrible person and be a paramedic. It doesn't make you a good partner.
Yes, agreed.
And if you're the smartest person in the room but nobody wants to talk to you, that is not a flex. It's not a flex. That is
Absolutely
a
not.
big old red flag, let me tell you. And these soft skills, these are what save careers and help you prevent burnout in yourself and your peers.
Agreed, and I wouldn't say that they are optional. It says you can have the cleanest intubation record in the county, but if it's your nurse or your handoff to the nurse sounds like an argument, or your partner dreads being stuck in a truck with you, then you're probably not doing it very good.
Yeah, you don't want to be that person that can't hold down a full-time partner because you're just rude to everyone.
You're mean?
Like, we all have one of those people, or a few your service, like, that's just unfortunately how the cookie crumbles, but, like, you know who that person is, so don't become that person. How many partnerships have you seen fall apart because someone couldn't handle feedback or didn't communicate or made every scene a power struggle?
Ooh.
Because I certainly have.
Yeah.
I
Luckily, I haven't been a part of any of that, but I have seen many and I've heard of many.
Yeah.
And it's sad, honestly.
And truthfully, it's really awkward. Like,
Oh, gosh,
when
yes.
you're, like, the medic, or even if you're the EMT, or you're the firefighter, or whoever it is, and you're, like, having an argument really just over ego, essentially, in front of other providers, in front of the patient, that is so awkward, guys.
Plus, it looks terrible.
It does look bad. The aesthetics are not good.
No, not at all.
They're not great.
So we got like some soft skills to show up in all kinds of ways. So we can say the way that you talk to scared patients, or how you de-escalate the psych patients, which we had one earlier.
Yes.
And she was a joy, honestly.
Truthfully, too, like, when you have either patients who are in psychosis or combative, or a lot of the times, as long as they're not trying to beat you up, if you're just nice to them,
They'll be nice back.
they'll be nice back. And I think that goes for anything. Like, if you're rude to the charge nurse, she's probably going to be rude back. If you're rude to the nurse you're giving handoff to, they're probably going to be rude back. If you're being rude to the firefighters on scene, probably going to be rude back.
Yeah. Or, there's things like explaining a refusal without sounding like a jerk, or even giving your partner space when they've clearly been overwhelmed, which I think at this point I can read your signs.
Yours too. Yours too. But that's important too, like, knowing your partner matters, and knowing what exhausts them, and maybe there's a call that they could be sensitive to.
Mm-hmm.
That's even, like, a soft, adaptable skill, is, like, knowing when you need to, like, maybe be a little more pronounced in the patient care. Even if you're an EMT working with a paramedic, like, there are things that trigger all of us, and there are people that sometimes we just can't be patient with, and
Yeah.
you have to kind of play the good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, agreed. So when it comes down to like certain calls, like intoxication, I feel like you have a lot more patience than I do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's
it's
a struggle.
Everybody has their thing.
Their
And sometimes,
quirks.
yeah, you just have to know what works for you and your partnership, and know when you need to take a step back and say, I can't be lead on this one because I'm going to fight.
Help!
Yeah, I'm going to be mean to the patient.
I feel like we just have that look. We just look at each
Yeah.
other and we're like,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
swap.
Yeah. Sometimes that's something you develop in EMS too, is the communication with your partner with
The
just your
eyes.
eyes. And man, we really, like, this was perfected during COVID.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine with
Austin
all
and I
those
were
dang
partners.
masks. Yeah.
Yes,
I can imagine.
Honestly, too, like, I am forever changed because of the mask situation, and I have a hard time having a poker face now because of it. Because I'll be, like, making the most expressive looks over at Ashley. And don't forget about the post-call stuff. So debriefing, checking in with each other, or just saying, hey, that was a rough one. Are you good? And like we said, knowing what might be a rough call for your partner. Obviously, there's unpredictable scenarios in EMS, but, like, it's good to know, like, who your partner is as a human being and what they've experienced, if they're willing to share, and what might trigger them.
Yeah.
I think that's a really important soft skill, is just trusting your intuition,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing when something's up with your partner or your patient or your coworker in general. So
Yeah, and then there's being, which I think you're great at, is that partner that goes ahead and like brings snacks and just like happy-go-lucky and just
yeah,
it's vibes.
this is what we're doing today.
Yeah, here's some snacks. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
What are we gonna decorate? What are we gonna do today?
Oh, Ashley and I are constantly, I'm just gonna say, maybe we'll call it nesting our station.
Yes.
Like, we got floated out to a different station right now, and they still had some Easter decorations up in the truck, and we replaced it. We went to Hobby Lobby, and we got felt, and we made little, like, you know those college pennant flags that are like triangles?
Yeah, and it's amazing.
We got those, and we made a little I guess, like, streamer thing, and it says our medic unit on it, and it's very cute. We also got a new rug for them.
Candles. Don't forget the candles.
Oh, yeah. These stations be
smelling
smelly.
delicious.
Yeah. So, just, I mean, finding a partnership, too, that just, like, fuels your fire is important,
where
too.
you mesh. Remember, it's like flow. Is there flow?
Yes.
And you're not going to mesh with everybody,
Yeah.
but you can still develop, like, a temporary flow.
Yeah, even if it's just, like, a workflow.
Just, like, mutual respect, you know?
And I do think it's important, too, to say that it's okay that you and your partner do not mesh well together. If you're both, like, really headstrong about certain things and you just are conflicting all the time and it's just not a good personality, you know, match, then that's okay. And I do think that there are those people that aren't going to get along with anybody, and, like, if everyone is the problem, you might be the problem, but, like, I do think services need to do a better job at the administrative level.
Agreed.
Of being okay with swapping partners and things like that, which our service, I think, does a pretty good job of. But, like, it's okay to rematch somebody.
Yeah.
Soft skills equal strong medicine, let me tell you. They're the foundation of everything. Being clinically solid is so important, but the providers people remember are the ones they trust, and or when they call back, or if they have to call back, they're hoping that you show up. So those are the people that know how to talk to people, which is one of the most important life skills, because everything can be going wrong, but if you're nice to somebody, the chances of it becoming a bigger issue are much lower.
Agreed. And, you know, like, it comes down to us, too. And, I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm not on the medic side yet. Eventually I will be, but I'm not there
That's
yet.
okay.
But
It's still important.
Yes. But, you know, the way you look at it is strive to be the person that you want others to look up to. Like, I would love to be a medic such as you, or like Amy, or, you know, so I strive for those. But I also want to go ahead and make my position as an AEMT look good to other AEMTs. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have faults, but I'm always looking to learn and maybe tweak. Maybe I don't handle something as well as I could, but I mean, I try to do my best. And I try to learn, and each call is a different learning opportunity, so.
And I think we learn so much about ourselves in this job.
Yeah.
And we get really close with the people that we did this job with. So I think there can be a learning opportunity, not just about clinical medicine and things like that, but a learning opportunity about ourselves in pretty much every call.
Yeah.
If you want to build trust and change your culture and, you know, improve your situation, improve your service, I think that the soft stuff is where you're going to start. The human stuff, this is what makes us real. This is a very real job. It's a very stressful job. It's a very traumatic job. I don't care who you are or what you say. This job is going to change us, so we may as well lean into it and, you know, lift each other up when we need to, and hold each other accountable when we need to, which I think is missing from a lot of places too.
I think so. I think you're right.
Are there any, like, do you have any specific examples of a time that you were working with someone and they were just, it was just awful? I mean, you're just like, what is going on? What did I do to you?
I've flowed well with others. I've never really had, and I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I've misread things, but everybody that I've been partnered with, temporary, of course, because mostly I've been with you and Amy. And,
Ashley's really easy to get along with, for the record.
I really
She's the
try to
nicest
not
person I know.
be a problem to people. But there's some where it's not necessarily a negative experience, but there's no flow.
It just feels like forced.
Yeah, and no matter what you do, there's just like
something's missing,
or you can't just like have like small talk. Like, it's just dead. Maybe they just don't like to talk, and I'm a talker for the most part, and
that is pretty okay. This was one of our would you rather questions, so I'm gonna ask it to you. Would you rather be stuck with someone who doesn't speak the whole shift, even like on calls when they need to be talking to you, or would you have someone who sings everything the whole shift? They sing everything, even in the front when you're driving back from the hospital at 3 a.m. They're just singing.
Honestly, I think I'd probably be the one that's singing throughout the whole shift. So I'd I'd rather have that than like awkward silence, because I don't do well in awkward silence. Like,
Yeah.
I get all like super anxious, and then I get all giggly and weird. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
I
Like,
think that says, though, a lot about who you're comfortable with, because we are silent a lot.
yeah, that's true. That's true. It's our safe place.
Yeah. So I think if you could be, I think that's a lot of people, especially neurodivergent people, which EMS is filled with.
Yeah.
If you have people that you can just be silent with.
Then just sit in a room and not feel like, okay, I feel like I gotta say something. Do I have to say something? Do I have to do something?
Yeah, are they
Yeah,
mad at
that's
me?
true. Yeah, are they? I must have pissed them off. What did I do to upset them?
Yeah, which Ashley and we talk a lot at work too, but it's just because we have a lot to. We're excited.
Yes,
we're just
we are.
excited to be here.
We're
Okay.
happy people.
Yeah. Well, I have plenty of stories. Let me tell you, because I used to be a float EMT, but I recently had a call, which I was a flight medic on the scene of a call, and there was a paramedic and an EMT who called for flight services, and we got there, and this paramedic was literally so mean to this EMT. Like, the paramedic seemed very overwhelmed and stressed, but that is what says a lot about you. When you are overwhelmed and stressed, instead of just jumping to, like, snapping on people and things like that, if that is who you are or who you've become or something you've noticed in yourself, I think it's really important to remember that, A, you're not in this alone. So, like, the weight of the world is not on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Now we have, 4 crew members in here, so, like, it's okay to ask for help. And there's just no reason to ever yell or raise your voice or belittle someone, especially in front of other people, because we are adult human beings.
Agreed.
And it just seems a little silly to me to act like that. I know that it gets scary, and sometimes we just get on edge and we're snappy, but if you are realizing that in yourself, just try to take a deep breath. I know that sounds very woo-saw of me, but, like, just take a deep breath before you say the next thing.
Well, you can't take words back, and then how you make somebody feel is, like, lasting,
It is.
So it's like, I could, like, never see you again, but if you've made me feel a certain way, like, I'm never gonna forget that. So every time I see you, I'm gonna be like, you really hurt me that day. But
yeah, that's all I'm gonna see you as.
Yeah. Pain. I don't want to look at you and see pain.
No, I think.
Or anger, or whatever it may be,
And I think that's a big thing in EMS, eating our own, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, I used to be a float EMT, so I spent a lot of time with a lot of medics who were upset that I was there in the first place because I was splitting up their double medic partnership, or their partner was gone, and then here I was, baby EMT Sophie. And I remember one scenario specifically. This is really weird to me because this was when I was still on FTO rides technically, but I was not with Austin, who was my FTO. And later became my partner, but I was with this provider. At our service, we have residents that ride as, like, clinical students with us, and this medic was asking me how to make cardiac epi because we were out of our cardiac barista jets for epi. So I was making cardiac epi, and I break this ampule and I flip it upside down. And side note, for anyone who doesn't know how ampules work, you can flip them upside down.
They do not pour out.
They don't pour out. You don't have to flip it upside down, but that is how I draw it up. I usually flip everything upside down when I draw it up because you can steady your hands, especially when you're in an ambulance. So I flipped it over, and he literally screamed. I'm not even saying yelling. This man screamed at me and said, "No, you can't flip it over. It's going to spill out." And I looked at him like, what? Am I crazy? Because I've done this before. Like, this isn't my first day. We've already worked cardiac arrest, and I've had to do this. So I flip it upside down, and he, like, grabs it out of my hand, and I just look at the resident like, surely you're going to chime in. You're a resident. Which I don't know why I thought the resident would know how to draw up epi from an ampule, because that's what nurses often do in his setting. But he was like, yeah, you don't want to lose all your drug, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what is happening? But, like, they both, like, ridiculed me for the rest of the shift about this. And I knew I was right.
But still, it makes you feel
right, and I was too scared to say anything about it. And that leads me to another point, is, like, we need to make sure that our partners and that our EMTs and even paramedics feel safe objecting to things and saying, you know what, this is not a good idea. I don't feel comfortable with this. We need to pivot. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree.
I had another instance where I worked with a partner, and it was a head injury in the middle of the night. This man had been drinking. He was on blood thinners, and I got the bad vibes with it. And I was like, and he was profusely bleeding still when we got there. And I told the partner that I was with, paramedic, I was like, I don't feel comfortable with this. And this is the first time I ever said this, so I will always remember it.
And we know Sophie vibes are bad vibes.
Yeah, I was like, I don't feel comfortable with this. And then he was like, you're going to have to learn sooner or later the difference between BLS and ALS.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, so he rode with the patient to the hospital. 45 minutes later, we get called back to the hospital for an emergency transfer because the patient has a head bleed.
Ooh.
Trust your gut.
Yes.
Be brave. But we also need to make sure it's a safe space for people to
Agreed.
speak up, because it shouldn't have to be some courageous act of like being like, no, this is bad.
Yeah.
Right? And that took so much courage for me to say. And it should just be a simple thing to be like, hey, I'm seeing something that maybe you're not seeing. And sometimes as paramedics, we maybe forget the BLS things, and I just think that we are a team, and it is absolutely okay if your EMT says, you know what, the vibes are off. I think this should be ALS, because they're probably right.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you also want that comfort of being able to talk to each other and not feel like you're less than, or
because
whatever
you're not.
it may be. Yeah.
We all have to be EMTs before we become paramedics. That's just how it works.
We
So
have a lot to learn from each other.
Absolutely.
You know? So,
I love being partners with an EMT, which I'm just as excited for when Ashley gets her medic, because that's going to be so fun too.
it's going to be so exciting.
But it is so much fun because just like on the aircraft when we work with nurses, it's just a different perspective. Your brain is on a different track. You all get to the same endpoint, but like the way you get there is just different. It's really interesting, and we think about different things, and we prioritize different things. And Ashley helps me to remember to do all the things that I need to do, like get signatures and to make sure that I tell the family where we're going, and like
the small things, you know, because your mind is already up here thinking ahead, thinking all the medic things, and mine is, I want to say it's less than, but it's another road.
Yeah, it's just a different route to get to the same end. Like, you just, the pit stops look different.
Yeah.
And the scenery is changed.
Yeah, but the care is still the same.
Yeah. And we have to have an EMT and a paramedic to leave the station. That's what Austin used to say to me all the time when I would be like, I'm just an EMT. He'd be like, we can't respond to calls without you.
Yeah, you still do that. You're not just an A.
You're not just an A, you're the best A.
Just a little A.
A plus.
Hey, ooh, I like it.
Well, guys, we appreciate y'all being here.
It was fun. So, if you're listening to this now and you think, wow, I might be the problem, congrats. That means you're already getting better.
You're growing.
You're growing on soft skills. I guess the easiest thing to say is once you can go ahead and like perfect just being a decent human being, everything else can fall into line, and everything else can be learned, and everything is a learning opportunity for growth.
Absolutely. And this field needs more providers who care about people as much as they care about their ego.
Oh, yes.
More than they care about their ego, I should say.
And we'll never get soft on the medicine, but the vibe can be gentle, it can be honest, and it can be kind.
Just like Ashley.
We're all just like you, so.
So, thank you guys for listening. This has been Life in Sirens. I'm Sophie.
And I'm Ashley. Now go give someone a fist pump and use your inside voice at the next hospital transfer.
Okay, if you say so.
I love your face.
I'll do whatever Ashley tells me. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Talk to you later.
This has been Life in Sirens, produced by 3 nerds trying to bring you content that you might actually care about.